Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about the Ethan Klein and Nikocado drama. So as you probably know, Ethan was going to have Nikocado on his podcast sometime this month, I believe, and Nick didn't really seem that excited about doing the podcast. It seemed like he's mostly just talking about Ethan because he was hoping to get some views, like he usually does with people. He'll call them out and then they'll talk about him and then it kind of ends there. They both get their views from it. But Ethan really wanted to interview Nick and he was willing to pay Nick to fly out to LA and he's going to pay for him to stay in a hotel. And this just definitely seemed like something Ethan really wanted to do and he's really excited about this. And Nick was just kind of like, yeah, whatever, if you pay me, I guess I'll go and do it. So leading up to this interview, Nick and Ethan have been making videos on each other, like doing the whole back and forth and like goofing on each other. And I haven't been paying attention to every video, so I don't know the exact details of everything. But I guess in Ethan's last video that he put out, or his second to last video, I guess, Ethan went too hard on Nick and Nick feels like Ethan crossed the line and he doesn't want to do the interview anymore and he canceled it because I guess Ethan was making fun of Nick too much and Nick felt like he was just entertainment for Ethan and he thought Ethan was using him to replace Trisha, which sounds pretty accurate. And then also Nick thought that Ethan was like fat shaming him, I guess, and just going too hard on him, I think. And it's funny because a lot of H3 fans actually felt sympathy for Nick and they kind of took Nick's side on this and they kind of thought that Ethan was out of line. And they also think that it's probably better off that Nick didn't go on the podcast. So, Ethan looked pretty bad here because it's not a good look when Nikocado looks more mature than you. Like, Ethan was so desperate to have this guy on. He's going to pay him and fly him out and put him in a hotel. I'm sure he had pretty big plans for that podcast because it's not often that they have guests on anymore. And this is somebody that Ethan really wanted. And this is also a weird move for Ethan because he just had on the most toxic person in the world as his co-host for a podcast. And now he's moving on to like another extremely toxic person. So it definitely feels like Ethan was going to use Nick to fill Trisha's spot. And like he's just looking for somebody that's as crazy as Trisha and as entertaining. So my opinion on this whole situation, I don't think Nick really ever wanted to do the podcast. Well, I think he said he never really wanted to do it, but I don't know if he even planned on doing it. I think he just agreed to it because Ethan was going to pay him. He knew he could probably get some views out of just doing a back and forth with Ethan. And I don't know, maybe there was a small chance he'd do the podcast, but I just don't think he's that interested. I don't really think he would get much from it. I think he probably felt like he'd go on there and he'd just be like a meme and Ethan and the staff would like goof on him. He'd just play his character. I don't think he was really that interested in it. And I think he probably realized that he's gotten everything he could get out of the whole Ethan Klein beef and him going on the podcast really won't get him any extra subscribers or help him make any money really. I think he did say something about Ethan not getting views or him not getting views when he talks about Ethan or something like that. He's a businessman. Like this dude, he just wants to make money and get views. And I just don't think he saw this really working out here. And also, I just don't think he really wanted to travel and go on this dude's show and like listen to him. I just don't think he really likes Ethan that much either. It seems like he just played him here. It seemed like he was just trying to make him look like an idiot, honestly. And he did a great job. Even Ethan's fans feel bad for Nick and they think Ethan was in the wrong here. So maybe Nick was offended by some of the stuff that Ethan said because Ethan's definitely an asshole and he treats people like shit. But also, I think Nick is smarter than people believe, like this guy, he does know what he's doing. Like he's making a shitload of money. I think he's very calculated. So if you want to be conspiratorial, you could say that Nick never really wanted to go on Ethan's podcast. He just saw this as like a publicity stunt, he'll start some drama and even him dipping out of the podcast and not going on it. That'd be some drama. And then they're doing the whole back and forth leading up to it. And then Nick finds a reason to bail at the last minute and make Ethan look like an asshole. So I think Nick was offended by the things that Ethan said, but also at the same time, he was looking for an out, so he didn't have to go on the podcast. And Ethan gave him the perfect opportunity. And I think Nick probably knew Ethan would give him this opportunity because Ethan just cannot help himself. Like he always makes himself look like an idiot. So Nick definitely took a W in this situation and he definitely came out ahead. Like this is probably one of the first like beefs he's gotten into where he looked like the good guy and the mature one. Of course it's with Ethan Klein because he's the most immature person on the internet. Like him and Nikocado looks like the adult here. That's fucking awesome. Nick completely played this guy. I love what he did here. Alright, so now we're gonna watch the video where Ethan's reacting to Nick talking about how he's not gonna be on the podcast. And even this is just fucking genius because Nick put this on his Patreon where people have to pay, I think, $25 to watch it. And also, he's out of character. So he actually seems like he knows what he's talking about. He seems like a genuine person, and you can actually feel bad for him for once. So since this is actually on Nick's Patreon, I'm only going to play the audio and video of Ethan talking because I don't want to get any copyright stuff.
Get that? I mean, that's just not true. I don't know. I mean, I feel like the interviews I do are all like respectful, and maybe it's been weird with him because we've had this kind of tit for tat.
All right, so here Nikocado said that he feels like he's just a Trisha Paytas replacement, which I think is definitely true. Like, Ethan went from one of the most toxic people on the internet to another extremely toxic person on the internet. Like, he's obviously trying to use Nikocado because he likes him as an entertaining figure, and he feels like he's like Trisha. And also, he's worked with Trisha in the past. And Nick, he's just 100% correct here. Like, Ethan definitely wanted him on the podcast because he's so out of control. He knows it'd just be a scene and he'd be wreaking havoc. Like, that's what Ethan wants from him. And also, Nikocado brought up that Ethan's probably not going to be respectful to him, and he's not always respectful to his guests, which is definitely true. I could point out a billion different times. But, I mean, just one recently. He had on Amaranth when he was doing that whole cracker thing with Hassan, whatever the fuck was going on there. And Amaranth said that she is like 7% Native American. And Ethan's like, oh, cool. So now we can call you Pocahontas. Like, is that really appropriate? Especially if you're somebody who's like politically correct all the time. Like, I'm pretty sure Ethan was going to go into the interview thinking nothing was off limits and he could just talk about whatever he wanted with Nick. Like, just check out the video before this that he made about Nick. And this is before Nick canceled the podcast. And I think some of this is the reason why Nick canceled the podcast. But just listen to what he's talking about here. This is like one of the cringiest videos ever. It's incredible that this guy's about to have his second kid and he's supposedly like politically correct and everything and very sensitive to social issues. Like, this guy's a fucking degenerate.
I'm pretty sure you could fit AB all the way up your gaper. Just straight up, bro. You wouldn't even need to do anything. You could use him as a freaking B plug, just his whole body, bro. Dude, I was talking to my friend today, and he said that Nick's beehole looks like a cow's vagina. He grew up on a farm, I guess, and he was surrounded by cattle and stuff. And he said that Nick's caper straight up just looks like a cow's vagina. Oh, man. That's so funny.
I guarantee everybody was cringing watching this, like even H3 fans. Just the fact that this dude's like 35, his wife's sitting there, and they're supposed to be like taken seriously somehow. These people are complete jokes. I feel like if you're trying to have like a serious podcast and you're supposed to be politically correct and you're calling out everyone else that's not politically correct, you probably shouldn't be saying shit like this and like laughing so hard at it. It was like one of the funniest things he's ever said or something. And even Hila's sitting there listening to this. Like, what the hell's going on with these two? Like, they don't actually know Nikocado. They don't know what's off limits for him. You know, obviously he does OnlyFans and he shows like this stuff, but that doesn't mean that he wants you making fun of it. And I'm not pointing this out because I feel bad for Nikocado or I think he was really hurt by this or anything. I'm just pointing this out because if Ethan wants to be so hard on other people, like saying it's misogynist to say that Pokimane has sex with her boyfriend or whatever, like Ethan was really hard on that GDon guy and he made him seem like he was a complete asshole and everything. If you're going to do that, you got to be pretty careful yourself. Like, you can't be saying shit like this. Like, oh, here's some gay person that I've never met. Their asshole looks like a cow's vagina. Like, does that seem very appropriate? Like, that seems kind of like something that's over the line and something that could maybe be considered offensive. Well, I mean, it's definitely offensive. But by Ethan's own standard here, he's a complete asshole. Like, if you want to be so hard on other people, you got to be hard on yourself. You can't be saying this shit and then go on to criticize somebody else for doing something similar. Like, if Ethan wasn't so hard on other people and he was just kind of doing his own thing and he wasn't trying to be politically correct or act like he has the moral high ground or anything, and he said something like this, I think it's cringy, but I'm not going to sit here like lecturing him about it. But the fact that he's so hard on other people and he takes this shit so seriously, then I'm definitely going to point this shit out. All right, so now I'm going to continue on with the video of Ethan reacting to Nick talking about how he's not going to do the podcast. And Nikocado says that he wasn't comfortable with Ethan making fun of his weight.
He's the one who started making fun of my weight in his first reaction video. I don't understand. But like, okay, first of all, I'm sorry for making fun of your weight, right? I mean, I didn't know that this guy, I thought it was funny. I thought it was a comedy. I thought we were just having fun and doing shtick. You know what I mean? Okay, I mean, I'm confused.
Yeah, you're definitely confused. Like, he couldn't even give a sincere apology about fat shaming Nick. Like, Nick said that he was uncomfortable with it, so why can't you just be like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize it? Instead of like, sorry, I didn't realize that this guy, you know, he was searching for a picture of him, like, eating a bunch of food. He was gonna be like, oh, yeah, I don't know how this guy, he can't take a fat joke. Like, look at him. Like, that wasn't a sincere apology. And of course his fans will probably be like, yeah, he apologized. That was not a sincere apology. He's still like, what? I thought this was the whole thing. You know, we're going back and forth. I didn't think this was off limits. Like, it's always a sorry, but, you know, I got to explain myself. And Ethan's a complete idiot because the fan base that he's been going for this whole, like, past 2 years or whatever are like really sensitive people that are really sensitive to these issues, and they don't want to see anybody being made fun of or anything. So when he does shit like this, his fans are gonna get mad at him for it and sympathize with the person that he's making fun of. And I don't know, but I think Nick might be aware of this, and this might be what he's going for here. Like, you know, he probably did have a problem with Ethan making fun of him and all that, but I think he knows that if he talks about how Ethan was being an asshole and everything, he's going to make Ethan look like an asshole. And I just don't think he likes Ethan that much. So then when Ethan says these things, it probably affects him more. Like, I think he went on Keemstar's podcast before. Like, that's hilarious. He'll do Keemstar's podcast, but not Ethan's. And I don't think Keemstar had to pay him or anything like that. Like, Ethan wanted this guy on his podcast badly. And Nick's just like, yeah, whatever. I don't really want to do this, but I guess if you're going to pay me. All right, so in this part, Nikocado talks about how he's uncomfortable with Ethan bringing up his OnlyFans and, like, his asshole and everything. Like, right when they first started talking about him.
This is like accusation of misogyny. I disagree. I think your brand of P word is extreme. It's shocking. You can agree with that. I mean, I browsed it when I was...
So Nikocado said he wasn't comfortable with Ethan talking about his OnlyFans and, you know, all his sex and stuff. And of course, Ethan's like, oh, I disagree. Like, we should be able to talk about it, I guess. You know, he can't just say sorry and move on. You know, if you're somebody who's so politically correct and, you know, you're really sensitive to things and you care about people's feelings so much and you like calling this stuff out, then if somebody's not comfortable with something, just apologize and stop talking about it. So here's one more clip from this video that I thought was pretty funny.
He's trying to paint me out to be like a misogynist and a homophobe. And the truth is, he's just like... not seeing the dollars.
Exactly. This is all just about money. Like, that's what he's trying to say. He's like, Nick, you can get views, you can make money from me, come on my podcast. Like, it's just all about money. Ethan just wants to make money with this guy, and, you know, he doesn't really care if he's like that nice to him or anything. He sees this guy more of just like a meme he can bring on, make fun of, and make money. And Nick's calling you a misogynist and a homophobe because you are one. Like, by your own standard, you are so many things. Like, by your own standard, you are a complete piece of shit because everyone else is, and you're worse than everybody else. All right, so now I just want to check out some comments that H3 fans had on the subreddit. Somebody posted a whole thread talking about exactly what Nick had to say in his Patreon video, and these are some of the comments on it. This person said, for Ethan, Nikocado is just another meme person, more of an asset than a person. Same as when he suggested to interview all of the Channel 5 people, as if they were living memes and nothing beyond that point. And then someone commented on that and said, I agree, most interviews he goes too far regarding personal boundaries and asks them quite cringy, edgy questions, then hides behind the I'm just asking lol, but it does ruin the credibility of the person being interviewed. Nick's right. So all this stuff is definitely true. Ethan said that one of his biggest influences is Howard Stern, and if you know his show, he asks like really edgy questions and like really personal questions. So I think Ethan definitely uses his method. And, you know, like just the fact that he's talking so much about Nick's OnlyFans and like what his asshole looked like and stuff like that, you know, he clearly doesn't really see any boundaries. Like, he thinks of Nick as this guy that he can just say whatever he wants about him and they're friends or whatever, which they don't even know each other. And that's probably why Nikocado had such a problem with this. Like, here's another comment that said, not a fan of Nick at all, but to be fair, Ethan's jokes seemed a bit mean-spirited in the last video. I don't think I'd be keen on flying across the country to meet a stranger who talked about me like this either. Those are kind of jokes you only get away with when you're with your best friend or sibling, not someone you've never met. I know Ethan isn't trying to be mean, but if I wasn't familiar with him, I would be very put off too. So I mean, a lot of H3 fans recognize that Ethan was kind of being an asshole here. And again, if he wasn't so hard on other people, maybe people would cut him some slack and be like, whatever, Nick was being too sensitive or something like that. But this is the fan base he has now. Like, if Nick says that he's uncomfortable with the stuff that Ethan is saying, then Ethan just needs to accept that. And his fans are going to probably criticize him. But a lot of them will still say, you know, it's Ethan. We know he's a good person. He's not trying to hurt anybody. Even though he constantly says inappropriate things and makes a fool out of himself. Like, you know, he's obviously not that good of a person if this shit happens like every day. Like every day on his podcast, he says something that's out of line by his own standards. You know, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, he's offensive. He offended me. Like, this is stuff that he says is offensive and he calls other people out for. So he needs to be called out for it. All right, so before I wrap up this video, I just want to show one more post on the H3 subreddit because this is just hilarious. Like, some of these fans are just fucking nuts. This person said, content court on Nikocado Avocado. Apparently he's got some nasty racist hot takes. Just saying. Like, is this serious? I can't believe somebody would be dumb enough to post this. Like, all right, Ethan's about to have this guy on his podcast and have him as a guest. And then the next week he's talking about how racist he is, like for a whole video, and talking about how he's a terrible person. Like, that'd be such a bad look on his part. Like, you're just about to have this dude on. But I mean, I wouldn't put it past Ethan because this is pretty much what he did with Trisha. Like, everyone knew she was a piece of shit. Then he had her on for like a year or whatever. And she was saying all this transphobic, anti-Semitic, racist shit. And Ethan put up with it. He didn't care that much. And then she leaves. And now she's a terrible person. Now you want to call all this stuff out.